3. Hello, what's this week's Devil the Detail podcast? I'm Rob Paxson, and we're here talking all things Salford Red Devils. Joining the show this week, as ever, we've got Paul Whiteside. How's your week been, mate?
Yeah, all right, thanks, mate. Very, very busy as usual. Lots of stuff going on at the moment, but no, I enjoyed the match at the weekend. Probably one of the best games I've seen for a long time. That I enjoyed it. We just went the wrong way, but no, I'm doing all right, mate. Thank you. Doing okay.
Yeah, I've been busy trying to sell my car for scrap, so it's going to go in the next couple of days. It's just sat there outside now, looking at me, saying, one day, we've had some good times, but it's all over now.
I'll have to have a word with that Phillips Goldfield. He'll come and get it, won't he? He buys any car, doesn't he?
He does. Yeah, hopefully I'll get some decent money for it. Also, joining us on the show, we've got Paul Parkin. How's your week been, Parky?
Emotional. A little bit up and down. A few things going on, but generally all right. Not too bad. Obviously a bit gutted I couldn't make the match on Saturday.
Yeah.
But especially as Paul's just pointed out, it was a cracker. Thanks for that, mate. But yeah, no, just plodding along like you do, getting through life. But yeah, just looking forward to Friday now, last game, and wrapping up the season. And I don't know, really. I don't know what I'm going to do after that for the next few months. Hibernate, I think.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's always difficult in off seasons because you kind of have to do stuff like decorating and fixing stuff, Paul.
Spend time with your family as well, that you don't see. Yeah, no, yeah, you're right. It's strange sometimes because it's not like football. The rugby league close season's a lot longer, isn't it? Really, you finish now. For us, September, you're gonna have October, November, December, and probably the end of January before the season starts. So you always look forward to the fixtures, don't you? That's the next thing that comes out. They normally come out around December time, don't they? Normally something like that. So yeah, I look forward to that. There's no World Cup. I was excited for the World Cup, and that was going to get me through, but hopefully next year it all happens. But I might try and go to the grand final. Actually, I'm thinking about maybe going to the grand final if I can get time off work and that, and go and watch that. And watch as a neutral. Not often you go to games as a neutral, is it? So I'll enjoy that if I go.
Yeah, at least our livers a cheering, Parky, that there's no rugby. They can have a bit of rest over the next few months.
I'm a non-drinker these days. I knocked it on the head. So
have you?
Oh, yeah, right. I've been like this for a while now. So I don't know. Yeah, that's another thing that's gone. I don't take drugs. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I'll have no rugby. I don't know. I might as well just hang me queue up. I don't know. Give it all up. No, it's like Paul said. Then I was looking forward to the World Cup this year. Really disappointed, but we've got. There's still the resolution of what's going to happen with the Super League. Our league going to go down? Is there going to be a legal battle? That's all to come. Then you've got new signings that'll be announced, probably dribs and drabs throughout the off season, and then the fixtures, and then the friendlies, and whatever. So yeah, it'll be here before we know it. You've got Christmas to come up, and that takes about 3 months, doesn't it? So but we'll look forward to all that, and obviously get this week out of the way.
Yeah, there's loads to go on this week's show. We'll look back at the Warrington defeat. We've got all the big news coming out of the club this week. We've got Paul's amateur report, and then we've got to look forward to the Saints game on Friday. So what we'll start off with the defeat against Warrington.
You're listening to Devil in the Detail, and this is your big match review.
So, as I unfortunately couldn't make it, as I was detained elsewhere, Rob, to use your line, talk us through it. What occurred? I mean, it sounded an unbelievable game, and I was at one point. I must have when they went 16-6 up. I thought this could now be a bit of a murdering, but no, something happened. So that is off.
Yeah, pure drama, Parky, to be fair. Warrington, obviously, going for that playoff spot. We've got nothing to play for, but the players did actually put in a real shift. I think it shows, like I say, Richard Marshall's team are playing for pride, and that's what they showed plenty of it on Sunday. Obviously, Ken Seal scored his first try. Lovely work, putting him over in the corner, showing why he's Super League's top try scorer. But like you said, Warrington it back, tries from Matty Ashton and Matty Davis. Davis try for me sort of round the play the ball, just dives over there to make it sort of 12-6. And, you know, you got to think sometimes sort of defence is a bit weak round the edges, and that's kind of showed us up really at that point. Charlie made it sort of 16-6, but then just for half time, CO got one, sort of an interception try, ran about 40 metres, got under the posts, and at 16-12, Paul, we were in the contest.
Yeah, we certainly were. I mean, I said at half time, I thought we were the better side in that first half. I didn't think Warrington created anything. The try they got, the first try from Matty Ashton, was a cough up from Morgan Escray. Don't really know what he was doing there, because he got the ball and he just seemed to pass it back to the Warrington man, whether he lost it or whatever. I'm not so sure. Then they scored a try from Davis. It was a difficult one that a lot of people behind the sticks thought he was short there, but you couldn't really tell. He didn't look like he scored to me. But the Josh Charlie try was a load of rubbish as well, because Sam luckily got penalised for an high tackle. Never an high tackle in a million years. He was on his shoulder, and they shifted the ball there, and Charlie scored, and that was a real blow, that. So I thought to myself, they're frustrating. We deserve something, and we deserved that try before half time, because we didn't deserve to go in 10 points down. So to get us back into the game there, I felt we deserved to be level at half time, really. Just glad that the boys kept plugging away, because they did. And they had an awful lot of defending to do. A lot of those 6-2 goals as well. And yeah, 16-12. It was anybody's game in the second half.
Well, for me, obviously, I've only seen brief highlights of the game, but I did listen a little bit online. Like you said, the Charlie try. The commentators on Radio Merseyside, we won't pass comment about that one, Warrington, will we? They were confused, because there was a noise from the crowd, from the Warrington fans, and they didn't know what was going on. And then the referee blew his whistle after. And it seems like the referee's, I don't know, and I can't, I've got no real evidence of this, but it seems like the referee probably based his decision on what the crowd may have thought or seen, which, as any home fan, you claim for everything. You do. We do it. Every team does it. So that seemed a bit strange. When the commentators were a little bit confused, that was that's sort of off-putting. But the other one was that the second try, again, I've only seen that as a highlight. I can't see how the referees made a decision one way or another, really. I can't see him get the ball down. So, he hasn't got a video ref. The in-goal judge didn't seem to. I've seen it on this highlight. I couldn't even notice where the in-goal judge was to make the decision. It's like he was behind the play, which obviously he's going to be, but not in a position to see the ball grounded. So that disappoints me. I'm not trying to bag a referee here. Again, I wasn't there. I don't know. But it's interesting to see what you two thought of that, whether you thought he'd go over.
Well, I thought he did, but I was like sort of 40, 50 yards away, but I'm behind him. So Paul probably had a better view because he's in front and nearer.
I was behind the sticks, and when he went over, he was about 10 yards, about 5 or 6 yards short of the line. He wasn't a very tall bloke. So when the tackle was made, I thought, there's no way he's got that down, because he's quite far short of the line. So I couldn't believe the way they give the try, because I thought, if he was 6'5", then yeah, because he's long enough to get the ball down. But he didn't seem to be anywhere near the line. But then I've heard a few people say they've seen the replay and it looks like he has got it down. So if he has, fair enough, because the in-goal judge was stood right on the play there at the back. So he's the other side of the dead ball line. So what's he, about 10 yards away from the incident? So he must have said to the referee it was over. But as I said, the Sam Luckley one, that was right in front of me where I was, and it wasn't an high tackle. It was on his shoulder. And there's a lot of that at the moment. We've said that about this season, about the referees. They go in for high tackle. It's a contact sport, for God's sake, and it's so frustrating as a supporter that the penalties seem to be willy-nilly, and these 6-2 goals. And a lot of the time, they're blowing for these 6-2 goals. You don't even know what they're for. You hear that hooter go off, and they think, what's that for? There's nothing signalled or nothing said, and it can be a bit frustrating, that for me, that 6-2 goal, because it seems when a side's sort of got you on the op and they've got the crowd behind them, they're just blowing that hooter all the time, and it's hard to defend. And yeah, I don't like that 6-2 goal thing. I think it's a bad rule.
So I wouldn't disagree with you. I really wouldn't. I think I have noticed in the last couple of games on Sky that it's getting reffed a little bit differently. I know the Saints-Leeds game the other night, that hooter rarely went off, and yet there was incidents in that game which we've definitely been punished for several times in one game. There was an occasion where Walmsley had made one of these storming breaks that he made the other night, And the Leeds player held him down for probably a good 4 or 5 seconds before his teammates even got anywhere near. Walmsley's trying to get up. He puts his pressure back on him to put him down again. And the referee does nothing and plays on. And I thought, oh, maybe they're letting it go now. Maybe it's something they've decided, because it is a contentious decision to make. And I hope they do that. I hope they do sort of make it, it's got to be a really obvious one now to give it, because some of them we've seen. There was one against Hull that we were penalised for, which, like you said, Paul, nobody in the ground had a clue what it was for, and it was after he actually played the ball. He gave the decision who to, and you're kind of scratching your head a bit. It's just one of them more confusing things. And if you're taking someone to the game for the first time, they wouldn't have a clue what was going on. So moving on. I mean, obviously, Rob's second half must have been a little bit of squeaky bum time.
Yeah, we hung in that second half. Obviously, Warrington had a good side. They were pushing us, but we had answers to their questions for me. And obviously, when 2 went over to make it 18-16 us with about 20 to go, I was obviously thinking, we could win this. And that's a sort of a real sort of shot in the arm for us, because I think obviously you're going to teams like Warrington and you're going to get challenged. And if we're sort of in the mix with sort of 20 minutes to go, they're the playoff side. And I suppose it's about development, both on and off the field. These boys who are playing for us now, it's about playing in them kind of conditions. And even though we aren't fighting for a playoff spot, it will help when we games like this. Even though we lost, we had opportunities, and that's a good thing, I think. Obviously going forward, Paul.
Yeah, I thought the second half, the start of the second half again. I think Warrington had about 4 or 5 sets of 6 on our line, and I said to my dad, they score here, I think it's curtains. But we didn't. We held them out. That goal line defence was good. Then our opportunity came. It was Sam Luckley got a ball out, didn't he? Lovely pass from Luckley. I don't know how he got the ball out. Chris Atkin, great bit of work from him. Took the line on, turned him inside out. Lovely ball to 2. And it was a great try. That really was. The crowd were going mad behind the sticks there. And to be honest, I never thought we was in trouble then. We defended him set for set. And until that incident with Danny Addy, which he didn't need to do that, he didn't really need to go. He lost his head there, and that, to me, that cost us the game. If he hadn't have done that, we'd have won that game 18-16, no doubt about that, because I think we'd have held Warrington out. Because despite what some people said in the media, I mean, I know the guys on Sky Sunday night were saying it was injury at Warrington and this and the other, but they had Blake Austin on there, George Williams, Gareth Widdop, Ben Curry, Stephen Ratchford, Josh Charlie was on there. Who's the other fella? Toby King. They had some good players on there. The 3 pivot men as well. They never really created anything, and we sort of nullified them. So I thought the defence was really good. And yeah, Danny he's done something silly there, and he's let his teammates down really there. And I just felt sorry for the team. It was just a silly, petulant thing to do. They got level, and then it all went to the drop goal time. Then
yeah, Ratchford was a difference for me when he came on. Paul, he sped it all around the play of the ball. We were really struggling to sort of keep him up, perhaps, even though he wasn't particularly doing anything. He was just sort of finding space, and we were unable to sort of close him down. About the Addy incident, I suppose when you've got adrenaline going, people do funny things, don't they? And he'll probably learn from that, as will the rest of the team, that obviously you've got to stay disciplined, Parker. When you're in this situation, because obviously you're giving away penalties in playoff football. It's curtains, isn't it?
Yeah, I've seen that as well. And if I was Richard Marshall, I'd be giving him the rounds of the kitchen. I'll be perfectly frank with you. I think what Paul said spot on. He has cost us the game. He's got bounced off by another player. Rather than reacting and thinking, right, I'll get back in mid-defensive line, other people were handling that situation. Other players had grabbed this guy, and he just decides to throw a punch or swing an arm. I mean, this guy, he's not new to the game. He was captain of the league last year. He's been around a long time. He understands rugby league. He shouldn't be doing that. He gives them that penalty, which obviously they kick. But then we're going into extra time, a man down. And from what I could gather from, commentary and everything else, our forwards were absolutely gassed. They had nothing left. The last 10 minutes, I think it was all our 3 quarters who were driving the ball out. Seo, Inu, people like that. Because the forwards had nothing. They couldn't get back. They couldn't, they were really struggling. We know we're short on numbers anyway in the pack. We've been like this for weeks. Apparently, from what Paul's just said there, Sky don't think we get injuries. We just sign players on loan. But yeah, and that the last thing you need is one of your teammates letting you down like that. If he got Simbin for something, a high tackle that he couldn't have, he's gone in for a tackle, he's got it wrong. But that's done on purpose, and at this level, you don't get away with that. And like I say, then you're going into extra time. You've got 12 men on the park. The players are already shattered. They put all their effort in. Paul said there at the start of the second half with set after set of defence. That will tire you out later in the game. That's what we've done all year. It's what we've done. You can't carry on doing that. And then you go a man down. You've got very little chance away at Warrington, against the team with so much talent, like Paul said there. He named the names. I mean, these are all top quality players, and they're not going to waste chances. So very disappointed with Ade. I know he's obviously trying. He hasn't played a lot this year. It wasn't a case he was off the pace, though. It was more a case of, like you say, it was just petulance. He didn't like the fact that I think he was one of their younger forwards as well that had bounced him away, and he didn't like that, and he took it into his own hands, and it's silly. I can't imagine a fully fit Elijah Taylor playing at loose forward making that error. He's not going to do it. So disappointing. But then obviously now, we've gone into extra time. Well, we're getting close to extra time. It's all square. So what happened next?
Yeah, I think obviously, like you said, Paul, we started to gas a bit, but I thought our sort of game management at that point kind of took over a bit. Obviously, Warrington had their drop goal. We didn't panic. We got up to the other end, and Tui dropped a goal to tie it up. And really, it's weird, really, because I thought when someone touches a drop goal attempt, the ball's dead. So it really kind of surprised me that when the ball went over the sticks, it sort of was a point, because I was like, oh, it's charged it down, and it's a no score. Did I just dream that rule up, or have they changed it since when?
The rule changed, didn't it, a few years ago? Well, that was the rule. I always remember that rule being if you touched it, it knocked it on there. But I think it was a couple of years back they changed that rule. They outlawed that, didn't they, change it? Because I remember thinking at the time, oh, someone's touched the ball.
Yeah.
I thought, no, the rules changed. We're all right. So yeah, it had changed. But I thought that, we did well there to get back. And do you know what? It was funny when the clock was ticking down there in the game, stood behind the sticks. I turned round. I kept checking that shot clock. It was behind, not the shot clock, the game timer. I must have turned round every 30 seconds, the last sort of 10 minutes, just to see how long was left, because you're just panicking. And I said to my dad, I turned around, I looked at all the faces behind me, and the faces, you should have seen the hope and the desperation on people's faces. I looked at my dad, I went, Dad, there's nothing on this game, is there? We can't get in the playoffs. There's nothing on it for us. But I said, just look what it means for everybody. And it was brilliant. And no, it was great. But when we kicked off for extra time, that kick-off from Inu, I think it was Inu who kicked it off. What a great kick. As soon as he kicked it, I thought, my heart started pounding. I thought, that ball's going to bounce, because he kicked it into space, bounced straight over Austin's head. And then it gave us the restart under the sticks. And I thought, why don't we just drop the goal on the first tackle?
The thing is, I'd jump in there just before we talk about that bit. Obviously, the disallowed drop goal from Williams, right? I called it straight away that Tui got obstructed, but then it was pure Salford that we had an opportunity there. Atkin doesn't find touch, and then suddenly Warrington could win it again. So it was just like a proper sort of head in hands moment, if you know what I mean. But like I say, Warrington luckily couldn't create anything, and then into extra time, like you said, the Inu kick. That's the spiraling kick, causing all kinds of problems in that Warrington defence. But like you said, when we were going for that second drop goal, because don't forget, Inu had one previous as well, which he missed from about 45 yards out. It seemed that was the only show in town for me, and Warrington knew that as well. So we weren't looking at asking questions to give Warrington a bit of a headache on what we were going to do. It was just drive close to the post, get someone in the pocket, and we'll have a drop goal. And they knew that. So that's why they kept late in the set. Everyone kept jumping out of the line. So for me, it would have been better if they'd have been let's try and work something to give Warrington that doubt in their head that there's going to be a drop goal coming, if you know what I mean. That never happened, and I think that kind of influenced what happened, because obviously the ball came back to Atkin. He got squeezed by about 8 Warrington players, gave it to Inu, who was at an angle, slightly to the right hand side, not the greatest, space to drop the goal. He sort of spooned it wide, and the chance had gone. But it's like you say, it's either let's ask a question here off Warrington, and push it and see how they react. But unfortunately, we didn't, and that's how they got the ball back.
I think what happened there, I think it shocked us a bit when that ball went into touch from Inu. I think we sort of thought, oh, bloody hell, we didn't expect to get the ball back there. And we panicked a bit. But just going back to what he said about, I remember the bit of the Atkin where he missed touch.
Yeah.
I was having kittens. It was like a carry-on film. It was like Norman Wisdom had tried to kick for touch. They got the ball back. It's like, oh, no, what's going to happen here? But yeah, I think we didn't seem to know what we wanted to do there, in that extra time. Who was going to drop the goal? You had Atkin there. You had Inu there. You had Tuilola here. And we were like that Gordon Ramsay thing when they're all in the kitchen running around and bumping into each other. It was like they didn't really know who was going to take the kick. It was just like a load of crazy chefs and that. So it should have gone back to somebody. At the first tackle, Atkin maybe 20 yards out, throw the ball back to him and bang it over. But for me there, once it got to the fourth tackle, I think we should have aborted that and just maybe tried to kick it in the end goal and just get a repeat set. We didn't have to score a drop goal on that set of 6. There's 10 minutes of extra time there. We were like panicking as if we've got to do it on this set. But the worst thing that could happen is you miss the drop kick goal, it goes dead, and then they get 7 tackle set. Yeah. And that's what did us then, that 7 tackle set. Because if you watch them on that set of 6, they plough down the field, don't they, in them 7 tackles, and they're there bang in front of the goal. So. And George Williams doesn't miss, does he? So it was heartbreak really, because do you know what I said to me down at way home? I don't like this golden goal, extra time, golden point. I think a draw there is a fair result. 19-19, that game was a draw, and it should have finished a draw because in the Championship they don't have golden point. A draw's a draw. So yeah, I know it makes it exciting, but sometimes a side deserves a point.
But it does help your development, doesn't it? Because obviously our players will learn from that. I spoke to Richard Marshall here that in a couple of minutes' time, and he says in that changing room, it wasn't a sad place. People were talking about what happened and how they could have done it better, Parker. And that's the kind of positive sign you've got from this, because obviously the players know what happened, we know what went wrong, and next time they're in that situation again, it'll be different.
Yeah, possibly. We've been in the last, I don't know how many years, but we've been in a lot of these 1 point golden, point games, and it goes one way or the other. You either win them or you lose them. Obviously, I just going back to what Paul said, I kind of agree. I think you go away to Warrington. I know it's not the same for every club, and you can't work sport like this. But you go away to Warrington and you get a draw after 80 minutes. You've done well. Surely you should get some benefit out of that. We get nothing for all the effort we put in. I don't like the golden point, I'll be honest, but that's a separate issue. But I think what you were saying there, Rob, about, and Paul said the same thing really about that, going for that drop goal, seemingly that was our plan. I remember, was it last year in the Catalan game in the Cup? Yeah. And Sarge scored the winner we outfoxed them. It was already planned. They'd already spoke about it. I think Ian Watson may put the idea in Kevin Brown's head or something like that. That's what we were going to do. And they were waiting for that drop goal. They were just backing off and, like you say, coming steaming out. They came out and we found a way around them. I don't know if this year, I don't think we've had that attacking edge as such, and that maybe that bravery a little bit. Maybe, but then if you go for that and it all goes wrong and they intersect or whatever, But either way, it's golden point. You're going to get very few chances. You've got to take what you've got. But it just seems we were, it's been one of them years where we've been unlucky in a lot of cases, not just on the pitch, but with everything else, injuries and suspensions. And it seems like, in a way, the right way to end our away games for this year.
Yeah. I spoke to Richard Marshall after the game. This is what he had to say.
All right, Ricky, it's Rob.
Hi, mate.
What an emotional game that was, despite defeat.
Yeah, it was. It was for a team like ourselves who are, sitting near the bottom of the table, to have that effort, that attitude, to go toe to toe with one of the best teams in the comp, I thought was brilliant. It was up and down, wasn't it? Seesaw. They had a drop goal. They didn't have one. We probably, off the back of that kick-off, got the ball in a real good position, bombed our opportunity. We had 12 players again. Lots going on in that game, but I thought, from a resilience and a toughness stance, I thought were outstanding.
Yeah, you must be proud of your players. Obviously, with the injuries and the players playing with injuries, to put on such a great performance must be a bit What was the changing room like after, obviously, with that kind of defeat?
Yeah, it wasn't quiet. Far from it. We were talking about, if we had our opportunity again, what would we do? Would we do anything differently towards, that last 5 minutes of the game? And there was some good chat in there. We don't mope around and we don't sulk. But there is. Listen, I'm dreading training on Monday. I just don't know what we're going to be able to present on Friday night. Sam Luckley got a knock. Morgan Escaray, Joel Burgess had to come off at half time. Christian Inu probably wasn't 100% going into the game. Neither is Elijah, but he's got through. Who else? Danny Addy. Obviously, Danny Addy had a back spasm in the first half. So it's just the way it is at the minute.
Yeah, real intensity in that game, as well as the extra time as well. Kind of shows how far your players can go when you put them under the pump.
Yeah, I think we've improved, haven't we, over the course of the season? We certainly improved. That was from last week, where we had some really good stuff with the ball. I thought defensively we just really dogged. Warrington didn't have a full team out, but they had some marquee players in that team. Widdop, Austin, George Williams. They had some quality within there. But I thought we more than matched that. I thought we were. And if we just took our opportunity towards the end, there was a ball steal within there. We thought we were hard done to on that. But listen, let's talk about the positives and what an outstanding effort from our guys.
Yeah, St Helens next week, final game of the season. Opportunity to put another performance like that and hopefully win in front of the AJ Bell faithful.
That would be lovely. It'd be nice to send our supporters off who I thought were excellent today. We weren't high in numbers, but we were high in the vocal and the volume. They were brilliant. They got right behind us. But yeah, I think we probably did Warrington a favour in terms of the game that they wanted to probably go into the playoff finals with. We've certainly given that and a little bit more besides as well.
So that was Richard Marshall, Paul talking to myself after the game, and obviously proud of his players' efforts. And like I said before, he knows this team will learn from that experience.
Yeah, he should be proud. He should be proud of himself as well. It was a proud day to be a Salford supporter, mate. It was, and he came on the pitch at the end of the game, Richard, and he came over to the supporters, and he got a real good ovation from them. They were chanting and cheering. The supporters knew that they put a massive effort in there, and no, it was unlucky. It could have gone either way. That I think we just lacked a bit of composure at the end there. But George Williams is a top player, isn't he? And that's why he gets paid the big money, and he dropped that goal. But that game could have gone either way. But no, I think Richard Marshall is, as the season's gone on, he's grown into this job. He's getting the better out of the players now. I think we're a better side now than what we was a few months ago. I think we're doing okay now, and I think we just need a few signings and whatever. We spoke about that last week, and obviously the proof will be in the pudding next season. Richard will get judged on how things go, won't he? So fingers crossed, he'll do okay out of it, because I think he's done well this season with the cards he's been dealt and all the things with COVID. And I know every club's had to deal with it, but for someone like us who's not got a massive squad, it has been tricky to manage things, hasn't it? So it must be difficult. All these protocols they've got to go through and all that. So yeah, pleased for Richard. Just gutted we couldn't get the result.
Yeah, I did fear for him kind of sort of early on in the season. I think when we got beat by Warrington at home, it was a bit of an hammer in, and we were looking sort of pretty low parky. But like you say, he's found a way to get us out of that hole. And like you say, he's got now an off season to mould his team, mould the philosophy of the squad, and we're hoping to see better next season.
Well, I mean, you can imagine his and our frustration this season when you see an effort like that and the game against Hull, but then you have the Castleford and Lee games in between. You're going, what? We need to get consistency. If you lose and you've given everything you've got, like Warrington, which we clearly did, the fans will stay. They will applaud. We as Salford fans have had 40 odd years of being average at best. We've had the odd year in the last two or three where we've had a little bit of joy. But generally, we're used to getting beat. It's how you get beat as well, and that's the key. I mean, the league game was absolutely embarrassing. There was nothing there, and then you put in this kind of effort against a team like Warrington, And if you play like that against other teams, you'll win more than you'll lose. And that must be, it must be Richard's frustration as well. He must be sitting there thinking, I set you up the same way. We train the same way. We've done everything the same. The personnel are virtually the same because that's not going to change, from the last month of the season because that's all we've got. And he must be tearing his hair out at times thinking, how is this the same team that was playing against Hull, at Castleford against Castleford a week later? And then he sees us almost beat Warrington away. He must be frustrated. But like you say, he'll get this season out of the way now. He'll bring in a few of his own players that maybe he's had an eye on, and try and mould it for next year. He's got quite a lot of work to do. It's going to be difficult, but he must be. No wonder he was delighted on Saturday because he couldn't have asked more, could he? Really, from his boys.
Yeah, I suppose it's all about kind of fine margins, really. Paul, we'll look back at the games this season, which we lost narrow. Castleford at home, that was a narrow one. Wigan at home. Lee away. Warrington on Sunday. You turn them defeats into wins. Then our season is a bit nearer to that playoff spot.
Yeah, but I'm with Paul. It's like if you'd have played like that at Lee, we'd have beat Lee by 40 points. So to me, the League game was attitude. And I think the Cassett game at the Magic weekend was a bit like this. But you can question our attitude this season, I think, in certain matches. Earlier on in the season when Hull tonked us, I thought that was pretty poor. The 2 Leeds defeats were poor. So we've had some. Hull KR away was an absolute disaster. So we've had some poor defeats, haven't we? And then we've played well in other games. The Huddersfield games have been good. So it has been an inconsistent season. It's been an up and down sort of season, and that's something Richard Marshall will want to iron out. That definitely, if you can play that well against Hull and play that well against Warrington, we played like that. Wigan would have won there. We'd have beat them. So we could have finished a lot higher than we're going to finish. I think we're going to finish second bottom now. We can't finish any higher. We can't finish any lower. So that's a disappointing season to finish second bottom. And thank God Lee's in there because if they wouldn't have been in there, there's a fair chance we could have got relegated. So it's a lucky escape for us this season. But next season, we've got to be switched on because if Toulouse come up, which they're looking like they will, or Featherstone, we'll call it Toulouse for argument's sake, they come up, they're going to spend money with no mugs. So what's going to happen to us next season? We're going to have to fight for our survival chance because Wakefield is strengthening. Huddersfield are going to be stronger next season. So it's going to be a really tough year. So we need to hit the ground running. We can't afford to start behind the 8 ball. So it's a real pivotal that we sign good players and go for it because there'll be no excuses next season. We can't say, oh, well, it's a new coach, it's a new system, and it's a transition season and all that. You'll be back in Division 1. So, I'm right behind Richard Marshall. There's a mitigation there this season, but now we've got to be switched on now for next year.
Yeah, looking at the stats, Elijah Taylor with 34, Sam Luckley with 25 tackles, Andy Ackers 44 tackles, Greg Burke 37, Josh Johnson 36, Ellis Robson 43, and Jack Armonroyd 34. Parky, forwards doing an awful lot of work there.
Yeah, no wonder they were gassed by the end. That is a lot of tackles. I mean, how many players there did over 30 tackles? I mean, that's a lot. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, two, nearly 3.
So you've got, it shows like again what Paul said earlier. Start the second half when the opposition are having set after set at us. It does drain you in the long run. You've got to get out of that. You've got to control the ball and make sure they do the work. But forgiven, we're away at Warrington. I mean, I'm not bagging the lads for effort this week at all. But yeah, no, a lot of work went in there. Ellis Robson again, more great stats from him. It's his birthday, today. So hopefully when this goes out, he'll have celebrated already. Not too much. He's got a game on Friday. But, happy birthday to him. He's been really good for us while he's been with us. And again, like I say, impressive stats.
Yeah, looking at the meter makers, Paul, CO 232, Williams 127, Inu 232. I think the only kind of bugbear of it, obviously the forwards have done all the tackling, between meters made were between 40 and the highest one was 70. So that's the difference you see, I think, between a team that's going to win and a team that's going to pull short. You need to be making meters, even though you're going to be doing an awful lot of tackling. You're struggling to get your goal forward. Is your problem there?
Yeah, I think so. Like I said before, I watched the Sky game on Sunday night, and I was listening to what they were saying about Warrington's injuries and this, that, and the other. And I thought, we had a lot of big men out injured. We had an entire pack missing again. So there's guys on there who play big minutes and work the socks off. Look at the tackles there. Ellis Robson, I mean, I hope we sign that lad, because I think he's coming and he works his socks off. Josh Johnson again. He made a few mistakes, Josh. He coughed the ball up a couple of times, but he made up for that in the work that he did as well. I think our completion rate early doors in the game wasn't very good. I think we handed Warrington a bit of an initiative there, but I was dead pleased with how the forwards worked. I thought Jack Ormrod again gets better every week. Sam Luckley is blossoming into a really, really good forward. The way he gets the ball out, and I called him Harry Houdini in the WhatsApp, because he had 3 players on him at one time, and the ball just popped out. So we've got to keep working with him. I think he's going to be a top forward next season. I really do. But yeah, it was a massive effort there. And how many meters did you say CO got? Did he get over 200 meters?
To 232.
Yeah, and he got big meters as well, didn't he? So they worked hard. So, I mean, I said it on Saturday. You've got 2 players there who I'm not sure whether they're going to be at Salford next season. Ken CO, I'd be pushing the boat out. You know, I don't keep Ken CO for next season.
I suppose that's I think it's about balancing it, Paul, and you know, we don't want to bankrupt the club trying to keep Ken CO, do we?
Well,
that's a good question. That no, we obviously don't, but there'll be other players leaving, and we might just have to take a pinch on 1 or 2. But I mean, Ken CO, what was it? Is that his 50th game for us? And it's like his 38th try. I mean, you don't buy tries. You can't buy players like that now. They're not there, and he is important. How many meters you say you did, by the way?
He did 96 meters. Still a lot, nearly 100.
Yeah.
Still our second top meter maker. Oh, 3rd behind Reece Williams.
Sorry, lads, I've had to plug my iPad in on chat. Just try to find somewhere where I'm not in the light. Sorry.
Someone's getting interrogated now with that light. tell you, Ken CO signing for.
Well, if it works, I'll go with it. I'm happy with that.
That's better.
Just get his signature or anything. Go and ask him for an autograph and make sure there's a contract just tucked underneath. Yeah, so, you know, again, like I said, with Inu, though, I mean, a player that we might not have next year he's obviously injured this week a little bit. That's why he was on the bench. But the effort he's put in since he's come back from his little his mid-season break, shall we say, has been phenomenal. And them 2 guys for me are just musts on retaining. They are. I don't think we keep them both, but you know, he's something we've got to look at. But you know, I'm sure Paul King would love to say yes, and Ian believes, yeah, we will keep them. But you know, there isn't that spare money knocking about, is there? So, but we'll see. We never know. We don't give up hope. We might keep them both yet.
Big thanks for your 3-word match reports and man of the matches. Stuart Smart, too many handling errors. That's 4, Stu. Man of the match was Ken CO. Roy Ellaby, Paul's mate. Fair crack whip, Ken CO. Kristen Leanth, wasted great opportunity, CO. Mark, very hard loss, CO. Colin Wilson, lack a leader, CO. I think you made the point, didn't you, Paul, about sort of not being able to kind of think the way out of it. That might have been a good point. That Chris Sanders, unlucky. James Hockinson, gutted. CO. Val Boardman, never a try. Must be talking about the Davis effort. Chris and Janet Shenton, disappointing but fair, CO. Matt Carr, next season's promising, CO. And finally, Anne Wincup, never a try, CO. So Ken CO wins the 3-word match report man of the matches this week, Paul.
Yeah, I think he played well, CO. I mean, you look at his try scoring now. He's got 17 now, and he's missed quite a few games this season as well. You know, he had a few injuries, so yeah. And he plays like with Dan Sargent a lot of the weeks, and Dan Sargent's not the sort of the greatest guy for putting the ball on the plate for his first moves back inside most of the time. So he tried passing it a bit more. He scored a few more. But no, I think, no, I'm only joking with Dan. I think he's played well. But no, Seo, I thought was excellent again. He was at the Magic weekend, coming into his own now. And, that's why other sides are after him. And I know what you're saying about the money and that. It would be great to keep him, but we'll have to just wait and see what happens. But no, it's not often we have a guy at the top of the try scoring charts. And, I think that's testament to where he's playing at the moment. If you give him the ball or you give him a sniff, he's taking the chance, and he's a cracking finisher as well, Ken Seal. Really, really good finisher. And I think he deserves it. I think there's a few players, though, that could have got the man of the match. I thought Chris Atkin worked his socks off, as he does every week. Tuilala here, there's another one. I think over the last sort of month or so, he's played really well, played some really good stuff for us. His kicking game was a bit iffy, I thought, on Saturday. A lot of it was up in the air and hitting hopes and things like that. So I think that's something we need to work on. There's a few things we could work on out of that game, but the effort was absolutely tremendous from the players on Saturday.
Yeah, you can pull Dan Sideson's leg now. He's not been sent off for a few weeks, so he's not twitching. That's one thing. You know what I've noticed as well? Since he's grown his hair, mellowed out. Early season, skinhead, getting sent off, sin bin regular. Since he decided to grow it a bit, Parker,
Yeah. Thanks for pointing me out.
Not been binned once.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning me there. I'll give it a go, eh? Yeah, no. To be honest, we get a full season out of Dan Sargentson. If we could have had a full season out of CO and Inu or Watkins, and who knows what may have happened. We don't know. Paul's just decided to have some chocolate or something. But he's been up and down. But let's just get everybody fit for next year. Hopefully, we keep all of the couple. And you don't know. Like one of the lads said there on the 3 match report, it's things could look positive for next year if we just get a bit of luck. That's the main thing we need for next year. But good to see Dan sort of getting a run of games now, because I think at one point this season he'd actually missed more than he played.
Yeah,
we can't afford that. Not with our key players like Dan clearly is, because we know what he can do and how good he can be. So, but yeah, we need to get this season over, get pre-season done, get everybody fit, get rid of COVID for God's sake, and who knows what could happen next year.
Yep. So that's our look back at the Warrington game. Next up, we've got all the big news coming out of the club this week. Let's talk news, Parky. The Supporters Trust Motown Soul Night is on the 18th of September. There's still tickets available at £15. You get food, you got a DJ, and you got games as well. So it's going to be an entertaining night, Parky.
Yeah, it should be. I know someone mentioned it a while ago, and I plan to go down. I'm kind of stuck now. There's a couple of things happening, and plus with the Players Awards as well, not far off. Might be a little bit too much, but it sounds good. I know they've done something similar before, haven't they? And it's supposed to be a really good night. I will certainly try and get there if I can. It's a busy time, but it'll be a good night. I know the Supporters Trust, they generally do throw a decent bash together. So that should be good.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Obviously, get down to support the Supporters Trust. Obviously, it gives the fans a voice and a body to sort of question things and ask for things, because that's what us fans, we want to be able to ask the club for stuff, and that's a way you can do it. Yeah,
absolutely. The thing is with the Supporters Trust as well, it's been very difficult for them. Again, like everybody else, but over the last 12, 18 months, we can't get together. We couldn't have functions or anything like that together. And as fans, we've not had a chance to be together and just sort of away from rugby a little bit. I know it's all connected, but not be specifically all about rugby. It's a night out. You can have a laugh, a few drinks, whatever. And it's a good chance, hopefully, for them to make a bit of money, boost the coffers again, and hopefully recruit, a few more members.
Yeah. There's also the Players Awards evening. That's on the 22nd of September, where the club announced the Player of the Year and various other awards. £35 if for Joe Bloggs, £25 if you're a squad builder member. Parky, obviously another good time. You get to see all the players, say goodbye to them, probably get selfies and stuff, COVID permitting. But yeah, it's always a good night there as well.
Yeah, 2019 was the last one, wasn't it? Obviously, last year again, another event that couldn't take place. It was a fantastic evening. Really was. Really professionally done by the club. So emceed by Paul King, who's quite a funny character, isn't he? And the more ale that went down, the looser he got. Let's say that. And I don't mean in any bizarre or rude way, but he was he let his hair down, and we had a good laugh. It was a great night. Obviously, 2019 being a superb year for us anyway. But no, it was really, really well done, and I know I'm buying my ticket on Friday, so I'll definitely be there, and I'll look forward to that.
Yeah, dress to impress. That's what it says on the invite. So I might have to cut my hair or something, or have a wash or something.
Yeah. I think I have to borrow somebody's outfit. I think.
So it's always a good night. Yeah, so get yourselves down there if you can. Sad news of the week: Les Bettinson, former Salford coach, passed away this week. Parker, what a legend he was.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of meeting Les on several occasions when I was growing up. As a kid around the Willows, and a true gentleman in every sense of the word. Everyone you speak to, but he was so he's like softly spoken, but in a way you kind of thought, how did this guy play rugby in the 50s and 60s? He just looked like I don't know. He had this authority about him, though, and but what a really nice man, great servant to the club. I mean, was it signed in 57 under Gus Risman? I mean, that's not bad, is it? If he's picked you up and spotted your talent, and we're still connected to the club for for decades. Like I say, yeah, a great man, a really, really sad loss to everybody. I know. I spoke to my mum, who knew him really well through 30, 40 years of their life, and she said the same thing. She said it's such a be a big loss, and I don't know I don't know any details. I'm sure they might get released, whether there's any chance of representatives from the club going down to the funeral or what. But devastating news really, and another sad loss for the club.
Yeah, 75 tries, 10 goals, 375 appearances. Our assistant coach in 1970 was our head coach, 1973 to 1977. He won the first division championship in 73, 74, 75 and 76. He won the BBC Floodlit Trophy in 74, 75. So he's probably one of our most successful coach in reality. But yeah, what a natural performance. Obviously, he had a great team as well, and he built it really.
Yeah, when he came in, I mean, obviously besides the 30s, we had no real success, and he came in. Obviously, Brian Snape was willing to splash the cash, and when he did take over, there was a good team there, but that doesn't mean anything, does it? We've seen it before where you can put as many players together as you want, but making them play together and work and be successful, that takes good coaching, good management, and to fit. I mean, when you think about it as well, it was a team of certainly the back 3/4 and a team of superstars, and keeping them together and grounded and making the whole team work together, superb. And then obviously, I mean, respect within rugby league was shown later on when he got the Great Britain Tour manager's job. Just shows what a level he really was at. And who knows? I know 77 was his sort of swan song, wasn't it, with coaching? But I don't know. Who knows whether he could have carried on and got us a bit more. We'll never know now. But he oversaw one of the most successful periods we've ever had.
Yeah, and obviously, like you say, stuff with Great Britain, he's probably, up there with one of the best coaches of all time, really, if you're looking at what he did for a particular club, which was us. And I think, obviously, hopefully the club are looking to maybe, member him, through whatever, the new stadium, if we do get a new stadium at Moor Lane or wherever we can go, that they might be able to honour him in some way.
Yeah, definitely. I know they have a lot of awards already that are already named, so I think that's probably an avenue we couldn't go down. But if you wanted to, the Clubman Award, I can't remember who's named after at the moment, but that would have been an ideal one, because it just that a guy that sticks around the club for 50 years or whatever. He doesn't get any better than that. But yeah, no, it'd be nice to get him on in one way or another at the club. And I'm sure that's something that, again, maybe, I don't know, maybe the supporters trust could help with, and we can look into going forward. But yeah, very sad news.
Yeah, our thoughts are with his friends and family at this time. Final bit of news, Parky. There was a big meeting, big press conference this week, where Ralph Rimmer managed to speak to the rugby league press about what's been going the last sort of few months and the future. And he announced about a sort of a working group to try and make the best of the future of the game. Obviously, we were involved in that process, but when obviously you read it, he's obviously looking about sort of the future and how to build the sport, which is good in a way. But there is fires burning now, which really need to kind of be put out.
Yeah, I must admit, I don't, as anyone who listens to this will know, I don't trust the people at the top of rugby league. I think we need true professionals in the job. I think we use too many amateurs and people who are close to other clubs and that kind of thing. I think it needs if you want to overhaul the sport, you get somebody who is successful in business or sport, but from the outside. I think there's too much of this. I mean, no disrespect to Ralph, but how long has he been in charge or been involved in rugby league? And it's all of a sudden now we want to change things. But well, why didn't we do it progressively over the last 5-10 years? Why all of a sudden now? Why is there only 4 or 5 people involved in this? If it's going to be done within rugby league, then every single club has a stake in this and should all be represented on some working panel or whatever else. I know it's difficult. The more people you put in, the harder it gets. But I would be a little bit concerned. I think there'll be a lot of people involved who will look after their own good. That's why I think it should be independent. But yeah, the game needs to change a little bit. Obviously, I don't think the product as good as it has been in other years. I don't know how you change that as such, but rugby league seems to me to be the only sport that has to change something every year. There has to be a new rule, or there has to be a new structure, or whatever it is. And let's try and leave it alone, but work with what we've got. The game itself, when it's done right, is a fantastic sport. There's no doubt about it. It's I know we're biased. I'm not stupid enough to say, but it's a brilliant sport. It's what goes on around it, the administration and that kind of it lets it down so much. Even going on to referee, and I know I think it was Taylor who was dropped again this week. And I actually happen to think he's probably the best referee. Maybe he just got the wrong game and didn't give the right decision to the right team. Don't know. But what happens if Ben decided then that's enough, I've had enough, I've been dropped before, I understand you've got to be accountable, but we haven't got referees. So where are they? What are we doing about that? That's a big step. Making more referees more professional, that kind of thing, making the game better that way. So people don't get frustrated with, decisions or certain referees that you think you don't, whatever. We need to sort of focus on what we really want out of the game. And I just think this is, a bit of rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic a little bit. I think it needs a fresh look. I know a while ago, was it Eddie Hearn that was linked with coming into rugby league to give us a hand, the boxing and whatever else they do, sort of guru. And that's the kind of level you've got to be looking at to make the changes. But we'll see what comes of it. I'm skeptical as ever, but I don't know. I might get it badly wrong, and the solution they come up with could be, exactly what the game needs. But let's not go altering too much. And I know Rugby Union have come out with a suggestion in the last week or so, going to 12, a competition of 12 men instead of the 15. I mean, it's not Rugby Union anymore, then, is it? So that's what you've got to be careful of. Everybody's seen the 100 and thought in cricket and thought that's the way we have to change, we have to do. But cricket is a totally different sport with a different coverage, and to be fair, probably didn't need the 100 to boost itself. It's got 2020 and 1 days and test match cricket or whatever else. But they went ahead and did it, and it seems to have been a success. I think everyone else has sort of thought, oh, well, we need to do this. But I'm not so sure. I think securing proper television rights would be a top of my list of changes. But we'll see. We'll see where they go with it.
I just think the working group needs to be sort of bigger. I think you need to have more voices in there. Currently, like you say, you got 3 of the top 4 clubs represented. But for me, if you want sort of the quality and you want everyone to sort of feel involved and have an opinion, you need different people in different sort of areas of the sport to have an input and be able to grow the sport's profile. It's important, like sort of the amateur side. Sue Wright, who's the head of Barla, she should be involved in that for me, because obviously our amateur scene is important. It generates players for the next generation, both on the field and fans off it. That's important. The media as well, the likes of Gaz Carter, Gaz Walker, Aaron Bowyer, they're the big guns in the rugby league media. If they can have an input on how we promote the sport and what stories we should be trying to produce to sort of catch the eye of the people who aren't involved in our bubble, as well as the TV people like Dave Woods and Tanya Arnold, they're key to this for me. And I think the RFL should be sort of tapping them to get involved in this and help grow the sport. And then also, I think the most important thing is us fans. Those fans should have a stake in this group. We should have a view. Really, I do feel it should be through a supporters trust set up. Lots of different clubs have supporters trust, like Castleford and Huddersfield, Hull KR, Warrington, us in the Super League. Then you've got clubs who are lower division, like Halifax, Rochdale, Swinton, Bradford, Whitehaven, Widnes, and Oldham. You've got a big sort of group of fans there who want the sport to succeed, and obviously the supporters trust have to all get together and join and create one big trust. But it is important. I think it's so important that us fans have a say in this process, because obviously we're the ones watching it, we're the ones investing money into it. So I think if we manage to do all that, we'd have a healthier sport.
Yeah, well, I mean, no sport's anything without fans, is it? Really, that's the key. And if the fans aren't enjoying it or don't agree with decisions and they walk away, I'd say 80% of these clubs are going to fold anyway. There'd be no point. But who's representing Coventry or or Keighley? Who's looking after them? Is there a Super League and RFL difference? What we talking? Are we talking the future of the whole sport? And like you said, like Barla and even the international game. We've been let down this year because of the World Cup not going ahead. But it's where it's going. What are the plans for international rugby league going forward? But the whole thing, if it's going to change, we need to change everything in that way. But you're right. I think the fans, we need to have a say in some way. And it's not a case of, like you said there, that most of the people on this panel are from the big clubs. Yeah. It's what happens to the smaller clubs, including us in that way. And and Wakefield or Huddersfield, the ones that don't get the massive support in Super League and aren't flush with cash as such. Someone's got to represent us and look after us, and I just worry that there's a bit of, elitism that could creep into these decisions, and it's what's best for the big clubs with the big fans.
Yeah, big thanks for the supporters trust Twitter admin for getting me all the information regarding which clubs had supporters trust, and it's important. We talk about expansion. We should have. Bernard, I think the Catalan chairman, he should be on there because he's a successful chairman who's in a expansion area in France, a club that's not in the the heartland, and he might have an input. The London Broncos, chairman, obviously they've gone to part time now, and Coventry, like you said, perhaps like a sub group of them, and maybe one of them involved as well to put their views across how they struggle to manage to get the game going in certain areas. But for me, I just think it's a bit too shallow what it is at the moment. But you're hoping they'll be able to sort it later down the line.
Yeah, it is tough, and I know, like I said at the start, the more people you get involved, the harder decisions become because everybody wants to throw their bit in. But I think, like you say, even if you have a few members from League One, a few from the Championship, a few from the Super League, and then the amateur game involved, and I think that's probably better than having 3 or 4 people at the top of the game who are involved in clubs and the running of the game. I don't see it being fair. So yeah, independent people to oversee it, but to be able to listen to what concerns and what problems other teams face, especially the smaller ones and the ones on the outskirts, like you say. I know we mentioned Coventry and even London Scholars, Newcastle, who have been, really good this year. What's happening in Wales, and restructure the game that way. Let's see how we can support teams, how we get money to filter to all these clubs. But yeah, it does concern me a little bit that the same old faces are involved again, who have not moved the sport on since 96, 97 when Super League came in. It's not as good now. It's not as exciting in terms of to the general public. When it came out, it was a great, a new thing. We'd moved to summer, but you've got to be careful how much tweaking you do. But we'll see. We'll see what happens, and hopefully they get it right this time.
But don't forget, the Super League clubs have had a reduction in Super League money, haven't they, from the RFL and the Sky and things like that. So they'll be looking over the shoulder. These big clubs have big wage bills, don't they, Parky? So they need to make sure they're even though they might be involved in this panel, they'll be looking at their bottom line, thinking, well, we need X amount to cover our bills, and we can't afford to lose any of that. And that's the important thing, I think, with this panel. It's got to be independent from everybody, and even if it's not independent, then you've got to have voices from other areas. So you just can't block vote your way through.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the key thing you mentioned there about the TV, the money going down. How have we negotiated money down when every other sport's getting more? I don't know how we manage that. How we only ever have one broadcaster, and yet I think rugby union's on about 3 channels. The women's football is now on Sky and the BBC, I think, and I think the international games on ITV. Fantastic, brilliant. Not saying anything about that, but at the same point, you get other sports who are shown on various channels. Even American football, it's not native to this country. I think that gets shown on 3 channels over here. Rugby league is stuck with one that's basically dictating everything we do. Can move the sport wherever they want, and somehow we've managed to get less money out of it. And it's one of the very few things that I agreed with Dr. Kukash about a while back when they negotiated the previous deal, and he said, "Why are we only talking to Sky? Have we put the feelers out? Do we know what other people think, what they want? Can we negotiate a better deal?" And it seemed that the Super League just jumped at the first money they were given. And I don't know where we go from there. We can't get out of that until Sky decide to get rid. And if they do that, then we are in trouble.
That's it, you see, because obviously Sky lays the golden eggs, don't they? So you need to make sure that whoever you bring in gives you the same amount of money at least. But obviously, we'll have to wait and see what happens there, Parker, with that. So that's all the big news of the week. And next up, we're going to look at Paul Whiteside's amateur report.
Right, well, here is this week's Devil in the Detail amateur report. We'll start off with the National Conference Leagues. It's getting towards the end of the season now. All of our local sides are in League C, so that league table's really hotting up now. So we'll give you the scores from the weekend. Crossfields 30, Waterhead Warriors 18, Saddleworth 6, Rochdale Mayfield 42, and there's a match in the Cross League between Oldham St Anne's of League C and Lee East of League B, and Oldham St Anne's won that by 46 points to 14. So the fixtures for this week coming. We've got this. It's now the playoffs, so I'll give you all the fixtures from the playoffs. So Saturday, the 18th of September, the round 1 game is between Heworth and Lock Lane. Game 2 is West Bowling against Dewsbury Moor Maroons. Crossfields play Pilkington Rex. Normanton Knights play Underbank Rangers. Game 5 is Hunslet Parkside against Rochdale Mayfield. Siddle play West Hull. Wathbrow Hornets play Lee Minor Rangers. And Thatto Heath Crusaders play Kells. Don't ask me how that works because I'm not too sure. We'll try and find out because all the leagues have been split into A to G. So our league positions in League C: Crossfields finished top, Rochdale Mayfield second, Clockface, Woolston, Oldham St Anne's, Waterhead Warriors and Saddleworth were bottom of the table. So we'll give you the results from those playoff games next week. We're moving on to the North West Men's League. That was decimated this week by postponements with just one result involving our local sides. That was in Division 4, Langworthy Reds 34, Newton Storm 34. The fixtures for Saturday the 18th of September. Division 1, Bury Broncos face Chorley Panthers. Ulverston play Oldham St Anne's A. Division 2, Folly Lane host Wigan St Pat's. Pilkington Rex A face Caryshead Rhinos, and West Horton Lions at home to Bold Miners. Division 3, Woolston Rovers A are at home to Salford City Roosters. Division 4, Burton Wood Bridge play Higginshaw. West Bank Bears A play Langworthy Reds. And in Division 5 South and East, Salford City Roosters A are at home to the Burton Wood Chargers. Moving on to the North West Youth Leagues, not much in there as well. There was a lot of postponements once again. The Under-16s Lancashire Cup semi-final, Lee Minor Rangers beat Saddleworth Rangers by 26 points to 24. In the North West Youth Cup semi-finals, Rochdale Mayfield 18, Ryland Sharks 22. In the Premier Division of the Under-16s, Lee Minor Rangers 26, Saddleworth Rangers 24. Division 1, Hindley 19, Pilkington Rex 0, Waterhead Warriors 0, Blackbrook Royals 18. I think that was a postponement game. Division 2, West Horton Lions 38, Wigan St Pat's 22. And the fixtures for this week, Under-18s, Newton Storm play Oldham St Anne's. That's in the Premier Division. In Division 2 of the Under-18s, Langworthy Reds at home to Crossfields. Roost Pioneers play Saddleworth Rangers. Division 3 of the Under-18s, Caryshead play Folly Lane. In the Under-16s Premier Division, Lee Miners face Salford City Roosters. Division 2 of the Under-16s, Rochdale Mayfield at home to Wigan St Pat's. West Horton Lions play Thatto Heath Crusaders. And there's one game in Division 3 of the Under-16s, that's between Portico Vine and Langworthy. There was also a youth match as well this weekend at Twist Lane Lee between the England Community Lions under-20s and Scotland under-20s. England Community Lions won that game by 48 points to 22. And finally this week we'll turn our attention to life outside Super League in the Betfred Championship and League One. Some cracking scores again. Batley Bulldogs faced Dewsbury Rams on Sunday in the Heavy Woolen Derby. Batley were firm favourites to win this game. They trailed by 19 points to 18 to Dewsbury at half-time. Cracking match in the second half. Dewsbury Rams won it by 31 points to 24. London Broncos 28, Featherstone Rovers 48, Oldham 24, Newcastle Thunder 38, Sheffield Eagles 28, Swinton Lions 34. Whitehaven had a cracking win. They beat Halifax 19 points to 6. Widnes Vikings 10, Bradford Bulls 9. Another belting game there. In Betfred League 1, Barrow Raiders 76, West Wales Raiders 0. Doncaster 26, Keighley Cougars 28. North Wales Crusaders continue their march. They beat London Scholars 44 points to 0. Rochdale Hornets had a good win. They beat Coventry 50 points to 22. And Workington Town were beaten at home to Hunslet by 32 points to 14. So that leaves the league tables. Toulouse Olympic are still top with 13 wins from 13 games. Featherstone are second. Halifax Panthers, Bradford Bulls, Batley Bulldogs and London Broncos complete the playoffs, with Whitehaven just on the outskirts at the moment. Oldham and Swinton Lions have both been relegated to League One for next season. Barrow Raiders still top the Betfred League One. Workington Town are just in second place. Then it's North Wales Crusaders, Keighley Cougars, Doncaster and Hunslet that make up the playoff places. The fixtures for this week gets underway on Saturday the 18th of September. Betfred Championship, Newcastle Thunder face Toulouse Olympic. The rest of the games are going to be played on Sunday. Betfred Championship, Bradford play Whitehaven, Dewsbury at home to Oldham, Featherstone play Sheffield Eagles, Halifax face Batley Bulldogs in a derby, Swinton Lions face Widnes Vikings, York City Knights at home to London Broncos. In the Betfred League One, it's the elimination playoff, so the loser of this one goes out on Sunday. Doncaster against Hunslet, and the qualifying playoff between North Wales and Keighley Cougars. Those two games are both 3 o'clock kickoffs. That's all I've got for you this week. I shall speak to you next week. Have a good week and take care.
So that's the amateur scene looked at by Paul, and what we're going to do now, we're going to look forward to the Settlers game on Friday.
It's time for the Devil in the Details Big Match Review.
So, Salford face St Helens at the AJ Bell, the final league game of the season, Parker. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I am. I'm managing to get to this one.
Yeah.
Although I was, again, double booked. Not by my own doing, but I've got out of it. I'm all right. I've got a pass. Yeah, I am looking forward to it. I think it's going to be interesting, mainly to see what kind of side Saints put out. Not just because there's nothing to play for them now. They're in second place. They're going to go into the playoffs. More the fact that they did take a few knocks the other night in that game against Leeds. There were a few players who were injured, and obviously they've had a few anyway. Lomax and Farge have been missing for a while. Then they come, I know Lomax comes in and out every now and then, but yeah, it's going to be interesting, really, isn't it? The thing is with Saints, you look at their youth system, We played them last year, didn't we? And they put a load of kids out and nearly turned us over. You know, you look at Lewis Dodd and people like that who've come into the team this year. They're an exciting team, and it's always good to watch Saints, no matter what team they put out. But we'll have gained a bit of confidence, hopefully, from last week. You know, we've proved that we can compete with some of the best. But yeah, it's just going to be interesting to see what sort of side they put out. And if they do underestimate us a little bit, you know, our boys will be fired up anyway. It's the last game. It's at home before. Some of them will be playing the last game for the club, you know, and hopefully we can get in amongst them. I hope that Wellesby doesn't play, because he's another one that terrifies me every time he gets the ball. I don't know where Saints get these kids from. They're unreal. But and then the guys that played for us this year, Ben Davies may get a game. Dan Norman, you know, they both turned out for us. They may decide to give them a run out, so they'll have maybe a little bit of a poke at us as well. So should be interesting. But I am looking forward to it. It's a shame it is the last game. It seems to have come round far too soon. But yeah, should be a good battle, really. Because, like I say, I think Saints will leave one or two out who are carrying knocks, but not wholesale changes. But yeah, it gives us more hope, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it's another test. Paul, obviously we played, I think it's 4 playoff teams in the last 5 weeks, and obviously Saints being the final one. Opportunity for Richard Marshall and his men to compete against the best in the league, and obviously, you know, it's all going to help in the development.
Yeah, that's right. And I think when a season comes to a climax, you always want to go out on a winning note, don't you? You always want to send the supporters home with a victory, because, like we said before, it's a long, close season. And I think to knock St Helens off, who are the champions as well, and I believe there's an awful lot of new supporters going on Friday, a lot of young children going from the schools and things like that. So I really hope it's a nice dry night and everybody really enjoys it, and it's a cracking match, you know, to watch, and hopefully some of those children and people who've not been before will come back next season, because that's what it's all about, building now, and let's hope we can. But just like Parky said, I'm not so sure what side we're going to put out, or what side St Helens are going to put out, because they're guaranteed second place now, aren't they? So, but whatever team they put out, they're going to be tricky to beat, aren't they? They've got some fantastic young players, so it's going to be a big test for us, whatever team Kristen Wolf picks.
Score prediction, Parkett?
I think we'll go out with a bang. I really do. I think it'll be a nice scoring game, because that's what Saints do. They score tries. They are superb to watch, aren't they? But I'm going to go with a 28-24 Salford win.
Is there a story behind that?
I've not really thought one, to be honest. I've been thinking about it for a bit while we've been chatting about Friday's game. But the more I think about it, I think Saints might rest some, their key players, but they've still got plenty of talent. But I think our boys will just show that bit more effort, a bit more, passion, perhaps, because it's the last game, and try and go out with a bang. So yeah, that's all there is to it.
Paul, what's the weather going to be like first?
I don't know. It's going to be dry, I think, isn't it? I can't check my phone because I dropped it at work in a bucket of water, so I've just got it in some pile of rice trying to dry it out.
Joking.
So I can't check my phone. Yeah, that's one of them days. I've got my score prediction. I wrote it down today. 20 points to 16. I'm going to go for to Salford. I can't see us scoring loads of points because we don't do it. But no, I think it'll be a tough game, tough battle, and we'll just about hang on in there. We'll take a bit of a lead, and Saints will come back at us, but we'll just hang on and win 20 points to 16. Will
the phone be saved? That's another prediction.
Well, I hope so. It's fairly new. I don't know why. Do you know why I did it? I did it again. I forgot my head torch. Right, I have an head torch that I use all the time.
Right.
And when I don't have my head torch, what do? I use my phone as a torch, and I put it in my mouth. Right, I'm working away with my phone in my mouth, and I dropped it. And it bloody bucket.
Is he frozen?
Yeah, we've lost him.
I wouldn't. I tell you, get the phone back working. Hopefully that rice might be working.
It's a good way of doing it, by the way. So come on, Rob, what's yours? What you thinking?
I'm gonna go Salford to win. I'm gonna go Salford 40, Saints 20. and Ken Seo hat-trick to put him top of the scoring charts. And the first Salford player to be top of the scoring charts since Keith Fielding, 71 or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I think while we're there, we should have to finish the season with a win. It's been a tough year for the lads and us as fans. I mean, we've suffered, we really have. And started off the season, we couldn't get to the games, and then we could go, but you had to be separated and everything else because of COVID. We've had highs and lows. Remember going back to the cup game, a bit early for reviewing the season, but we're at Headingley against Cass, and we come back into that, and we thought we were going to do it, and then a bit more bad luck with the kick. It's been one of them years for us, but no, it is coming to a close now. So let's hope we can go out with a big one on Friday night.
Yeah. So that's the end of this week's podcast. We're going to announce our three-word man of the match, player of the year next week. I'm going to put a poll out as well. We've had a chat about players, didn't we, Paul? About who were we're going to pick as our top 6. Let's say we'll put them on the old internet, and you can all have a vote. And hopefully, we'll be giving it to the player maybe the week after.
Yeah, be interesting. Very interesting. I'm sure, like you say, certain players have missed a lot of games this year, but the back end of the season, obviously Kenny Seo and Inu have come back in, and they've been magnificent. But these players who started the season with a big bang, and players that have grown through the season, who at the start of the season were new to the game. So it could be interesting to see who makes the list, and certainly more so who everybody selects as their man of the season.
What do you think, Paul? Quiet has been. That?
Yeah, he's not got much to say for himself tonight. I mean, me personally, it could be one of 6 quite easily. But everyone has their own opinion, don't you? And that's the great thing. If it was up to me, I'd certainly be the 2 I mentioned, Seo and Inu would be up there. I think Chris Atkin's been magnificent at times. Sam Luckley's been an absolute, from when I first watched him, and then first couple of games, I was a little bit, I'm not sure, but he's developed into a real player. Harvey Levett has been outstanding. It's a shame his season ended in the manner it has, I suppose, with injuries. But could be any start of the year, like you say. Elijah Taylor was our only player, it seemed, in the first 4 or 5 games, and then we lost him. So be interested to see what everybody else thinks. I mean, we'll all have our own ideas, and we see games in different ways. So let's wait and see. Yeah.
Big thanks to this week's Devil in the Detail podcast. I'm Brad Parkinson. You can find us on Facebook, Devil in the Detail SRD. You can find us on Twitter @DITDSRD. And you can find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Radio Contact, Spotify, and YouTube. See you next week.